What a weekend, what an incredible weekend we've got. Welcome along to the Racing Post Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington and I'm delighted to be joined by Tom Park, who made a spectacular debut last week. Loads and loads of winners. Keep them coming, Tom. We've also got the welcome return of Mr. Paul Keeley, who's been poorly. Keels, feeling better?
Yeah, a lot better now, mate. Yeah, very good.
Backing winners?
Can't say I'm doing that yet. No, I haven't actually got that involved, but I will be this weekend for sure.
Fully back to normal then. And the great Frank Hickey from Paddy Power, who's got all the odds and hopefully all the winners on a sensational weekend. Like I say, it's the first ever Dublin Racing Festival. A brilliant new innovation. Basically, they've mashed together two of the big cards that normally take place around this card to form one sensational weekend taking place at Leopardstown. There's loads and loads of racing fans from Britain heading over. Not many horses from Britain to Ireland, but to be honest, that doesn't really detract from the quality. We've got so many great horses running Saturday and Sunday. We're going to be going through all that. We've also got a really good card at Sandown. Bouvier is running. I don't suppose too many people will be backing because it's about 10s on. We've got two TV races from Musselburgh, one at Wetherby, and then on Sunday we will also touch upon, as well as part two of the Dublin Racing Festival, a great card at Musselburgh where Nicky Henderson takes some of his big guns to prep for Cheltenham. Okay then, let's start at Leopardstown. The action is on RTE2 or of course Bet2View on your Racing Post app, all sorts of bookmakers in your betting shops, etc. and also at the races. And we will start with the first race, the 110, the Nathaniel Lacey and Partners Solicitors Novices Hurdle. This is the race we thought we might see Sam Crow in, but he's going to run on Sunday. More later on that. So, Frank, what's the latest from Paddy Power on the first race of the Dublin Racing Festival?
Yeah, Dortmund Park is our favourite, currently at 15-8. Fabulous Sagas 3-1. Carter Mackay 4-1. Dicey O'Reilly 6-1. Jet 7-1, and we're 14-1 bar.
And Frank, before you start giving us all the winners, I mean, I know you tend to focus more on British racing, but I'm sure there must be a massive buzz right throughout Irish racing and what we've got coming up for the next two days, isn't there?
Oh, it's massive. Like, even the buzz in the office, I think most of the office are going at least one day, if not both days. It's really exciting. It's like a mini Cheltenham.
Absolutely.
I think it's going to be, like, I know the English trainers didn't enter too many, but I think that's more a function of maybe the Irish horses being a bit stronger at the moment rather than the British trainers not wanting to support it. I think if this can get off the ground and we have a successful first meeting of it, I think this will become a massive festival and it'll fit in nicely with being midway between Christmas and Cheltenham. I think it's going to only be bigger. It's brilliant.
Should be great. Right, well, kick us off with the winner then, Frank.
This is very tough. I think everyone expected Sam Crow to turn up. I would be like, while the ground is soft, it never gets really testing at Leopardstown. Like, that would concern me for Fabulous Saga. If you go back to the day he ran at Limerick, he looked beaten after the second last. And that was 3 miles in absolute bottomless ground, and he just dug it out. He's an absolute out and out stayer, and for that reason, I probably want to take him on. Carter Mackay's stepping up from 2 miles. He ran okay the last day in third behind Get a Bird and Mengley Khan. And Dicey O'Reilly won a maiden hurdle here at the Christmas Festival. But Dortmund Park's the one for me. He had a bit of a big reputation, was beaten on his hurdles debut at Navan over 2 miles, but stepping up at 2 miles 6, again in horrendous conditions at hurdles last time, he was very impressive. And I think it's a bit significant that Gordon's running Sam Crow in the 2 mile race. So I think he believes he can win this with Dortmund Park, and for that reason I'm going to stick with him.
Okay, Parky, were you tempted to go across to Ireland for this?
It's my
a few of the people in the office, aren't they?
Yeah. It's actually my birthday this weekend. So,
which day?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Happy birthday for tomorrow. How old are you going to be?
27.
27. What a lovely age.
So yeah, I did think about going over. It was just getting it all sorted, really. And
it's going to be some weekend, isn't it? Looking forward to it?
Oh, very much so, yeah.
Who's going to win the first?
I like Fabulous Saga. Willie Mullins' horses weren't running that well over Christmas, and he still won well, so I think there's a bit more to come from him, and he'll definitely stay. I'm not convinced about the form of Dortmund Park. So yeah, I like Fabulous Saga. Okay, Tom's only 27, he doesn't need Saga products, but Paul Keeley might do quite soon. He's knocking on a bit. Kills, who's going to win the first?
Yeah, getting ancient, but I think I disagree with Tom. I think Dortmund Park, if anything, should be shorter. Fabulous Saga, just, I don't think there's a trip long enough for him over hurdles. He'd stay 4 miles over hurdles. I think Dortmund Park's got a bit of pace about him. I'm not sure the rest are up to it. Carter Mackay might step up, but Dortmund Park, I think if you can get around about 2-1, I think that's fair enough.
Righty-ho, the quality just keeps coming thick and fast. 1:45. It's a 2 mile, 1 furlong chase. And when Frank reads the prices out, it's the Coral Dublin Chase, you will realise the quality that lines up here. Frank, away you go.
Yeah, York Hills 4-5, Min 9-4, Simply Ned 7-1, Special Tiara 10-1, Ordinary World 25-1, and we're 33-1 bar.
Kills, you go first.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to take Yorkie along, running 2 mile for the first time in a year. He won his only chase over 2 miles, but I mean, at 1-8 in rubbish company. Last time he ran over 2 mile in a Grade 1 was in a hurdle. He only finished 4th. Now, that was at the end of a long season over hurdles, but even so, he's got to prove that he's got the pace, and we know he's got pace, but he's got to prove he can jump at 2 mile pace. And his jumping never ever convinced me last year. He still goes to the left, even on left-handed courses, and I think he needs to be taken on. I can see the argument for Min beating Simply Ned again this time because they weren't convinced he went there, but I don't see what's wrong with Special Tiara at 10-1. You know, I think that's a silly price about the current reigning champion chaser. As Frank was saying earlier on, the ground won't be as bad at Leopardstown as it is at a lot of other courses, and he does want a bit of decent ground. But I think 10-1 Special Tiara is an insult to him. He's a better horse than Simply Ned, that's for sure.
Blimey, Kills is going for it. 10-1 Special Tiara. Who are you going to go for, Parky?
It's a tough race. I'm a big York Hill fan. I think he's just about the best horse in training, to be honest. But I agree with Keels in the fact that there must be a chance that he's going to go back over hurdles at Cheltenham.
Let's hope so. I'm on him at a massive price for the champion hurdle.
I mean, I think York Hill, he'll either win or he'll be beaten pretty comfortably. I think. I just 12-1. I think he is for the champion hurdle. That really tempts me in a little bit. I mean, we'll find out a lot more this weekend. But if Faheen doesn't fire, then it's not really a race that I'll be having a bet in.
A watching brief. Keels, Tom thinks York Hill's the best horse in training. Where have you got him in your rankings?
Oh, you know, he might squeeze into the top 10, but he's got to prove it, hasn't he? Okay. You know, that was his first ever run at a novice company last time, wasn't it? You know, in his life.
Frank, solve this one for us.
Yeah, it's a tough race. I think Min was pretty disappointing, but as Tom alluded earlier, Willie Mullins, all his horses weren't, even though he had plenty of winners over Christmas, plenty of them ran below form, and I expect a better performance from him. But I just think there's a bit of class about York Hill. Like I put a line through that run, 3 miles. It was a gamble they were willing to take. It didn't pay off. Dropped 2 miles. He's a little bit of a headbanger, but I think he's an absolute tool. I think he'll win this. Now at 4-5, it's probably short enough to be backing him. Okay. But I do think he'll win.
Righty-ho, the 220 is the Frank Ward Solicitors Arkle Novices Chase. Willie Mullins has got the Fav, and again, it's a big name. It's Footpad, who's favourite for the Racing Post Arkle in March. What are the rest of the prices, Frank?
Footpad is 8-15, Petit Mouchoir 5-2, Any Second Now and Demi Sang are both 14-1, and Tycoon Prince is 25-1.
Tom, you go first. What happens here?
Well, I'm hoping Petit Mouchoir comes good. I've backed him at big prices for the Arkle, 16-1. So I'm hoping that he could come good. But Footpad, I mean, he's not run for a while, Petit Mouchoir, so Footpad's going to be hard to beat tomorrow. I just think if Petit Mouchoir can get somewhere near Footpad, that would be a good run because he'll be better come Cheltenham after the run. But I mean, Petit Mouchoir's beaten Footpad, I think 3 times already, so there's a lot of hype about Footpad, and he has been spectacular to watch. But I just think Petit Mouchoir, he was brilliant on his chasing debut as well. So, but for a bit of a sloppy jump at the last, he was just as good as Footpad on his first start. So, yeah, I think at the prices, Petit Mouchoir's probably worth. I wouldn't be going all in on Footpad at 8-15. Take it that way. Okay,
I like that. I like Petit Mouchoir in a northeastern accent. That's quite good. That. Kills, what do you make of this race?
Yeah, it really is a fascinating one because obviously Petit Mouchoir was 3-0 against Footpad, and when he ran against him over hurdles, he was a shorter price every time as well. In fact, he was odds on once when Footpad was 12-1. So we know that Footpad jumps really, really well, and he has looked really, really good. But I mean, as Tom said, so did Petit Mouchoir. First time in October, I would, at the prices, I would definitely back Petit Mouchoir if he'd had a run. But I cannot imagine it'd be absolutely hard fit. At the moment, and I'm just thinking, like Tom said, he might get close, and he might force Footpad into his first ever mistake because he's going to go fast because that's what he does. But I doubt he'll be fit enough to win. It's not a race I'm going to punt in, but I certainly wouldn't rule out Petit Mouchoir beating Footpad at Cheltenham.
Frank Hickey, is it a race you're going to punt in?
Probably not, because of the reasons the two gentlemen before me have have already raised. Like Petit Mouchoir has beaten Footpad the 3 times they've met. Like he was only 6-1 shot for the champion hurdle last year. Like that's how good he can be. His record Leopardstown's very good. If he'd had a spin before this, I would definitely back him. But because there's a small question mark over how fit he's going to be, it's probably difficult enough to back him. But in saying that, I'd be with Paul. We're 5-1 on Run or No Bet. If he gets to within 2 lengths of Footpad, I'd be very interested in that price. You ready to rob it?
Okay, let's look at the 330 kills. This card has got a lot. I know there's a load of quality, but there's also some unanswered questions. There's a lot of horses running Saturday that have got a lot to prove. And let's look at the 330, the BHP Insurance Irish Champion Hurdle, where obviously Faheen has got to prove himself. Defi Desoy has got to prove himself after 2 bad runs. Paddy Power bet 5-4 Faheen, 3 Melon, 3 Defi Desoy, 12-1 Mick Jazz, 16 Super Sunday, 25 Jet Ski, 25 Papome, and 50 Identity Thief. Again, like I say, Kills, a lot of questions to be answered on this card. And how do you view Faheen at 5-4? Worth taking on or sitting off?
You know, this is such a tricky one, isn't it? Because that 5-4 is nearer 1-4 if you just rule out that last run, if it hadn't happened, didn't it? Because he come back and he absolutely dotted up on his return, smashing Jeski. Obviously, Jeski's not as good as he was. But, I mean, he looked nearly as good as he was, and he went to a race post rate of about 170, I think. None of these horses in this field are capable of doing that. I mean, Mellon might be at some point. He's going in a first-time hood, but he races keenly and finds nothing at the moment. And obviously, Defi Desoy, like the former last year's triumph, wasn't red hot anyway. It's one of those. I'm not sure that I could back him because he ran so badly last time. But, I mean, if he does bounce back, 5-4 is, it's just going to look a huge price, isn't it?
So what are you going to do?
I'm probably going to sit it out. But I want Faheen to win because I don't want Bouvardere just to have a walkover at Cheltenham. I'd like to see a real good race. And if Faheen bolts up here, then it does become really mouthwatering, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Frank, have you got a view on this race?
Yeah, this is very difficult. Even when we were kind of discussing it a couple of days ago, we were kind of going, if Faheen runs, like it's very difficult to get his price right because as Paul said there, like on his best form, he's probably a 1-3 shot at least. But then he ran so badly the last day, he could be like a 3-1 or 4-1. Like it's very difficult. Like, because when horses have setbacks like he did, and they put in a run like that, I'd be wary of backing them. Like, even if the vibes are relatively strong, you'd be a brave man taking 11-10 on that. Is it a bet? Like, I backed Defi Desoy each way earlier in the week. I think that was more, I was kind of half guessing that Faheen mightn't run. Again, he has a lot to prove after what happened at Ascot. It's like when you think Mick Jazz won the Grade 1 at Christmas, he's a handicapper, really. He's not really a Grade 1 horse. And Mellon did shape well at Cheltenham when he was carrying the penalty. He's probably the one to pick up the pieces if Faheen blows out again. But it's very difficult to have a bet in this race with any degree of confidence.
Right, 2 of the greatest judges I know are absolutely baffled by this one, Tom. Can you shed any light on it?
If Faheen turns up anywhere near his best, he will absolutely butcher these. It's as Keel said, it's just one of them races. I couldn't back him at 5-4, but like Keel's again, I hope that he wins. The champion hurdle will be a belter if he turns up in full form. I think if you want something to take him on with, I think Super Sunday is a very good horse. It's probably not his trip. He'll be a player in the stayers come Cheltenham, but I mean, he very nearly beat Apple's Jade last time.
We've got 8 runners, haven't we?
Yeah,
so why not?
he's in each. I think he's in each. There's a lot of horses in this race who've got questions to answer, and he's just a rock solid. Listen, if Faheen flops, it's anyone's game. I think he's a good value.
Could run in the frame, that makes sense. Anything else at Sandown, chaps? Frank, it's not Sandown, Leopardstown Saturday. Frank, you go first.
Yeah, I think Robert Tyner might have a good day on Saturday. His one in the Carl Hurdle, Midnight Stroll. He went to Newbury for that valuable bumper on debut last year, and he bumped into Bullionaire. Bullionaire, of course, ran second in that red hot Ascot bumper earlier this year. That was really strong for him. He travelled really well that day, just bumped into one. He was only a head behind Next Destination in the Punchestown Festival when behind Dead Right of Philip Hobbs. He went to Gorn for his maiden hurdle, and I have a feeling he was very weak on the day. I'd say he badly needed it. He finished 6th, well beaten, but he won his next 2, a maiden hurdle and novice hurdle, and he was a big eye catcher for me at Leopardstown at Christmas, running over 2.5 miles. He's very keen, and I think this drop back to 2 miles and a strong pace he's going to get is absolutely ideal for him. A mark of 129. If you look at potentially some of the bumper form, I think he could be absolutely thrown in. I expect him to travel like a dream to the last at least. Hopefully he'll find plenty. And in the big handicap chase, I think Tyner has a good chance with Blastacombe in here as well. He ran at Christmas. He was 3rd off 123 behind Tis a Mystery and Bellamy de Sivla, but he wasn't given probably the best ride that day. He was a bit too far back, and Tis a Mystery and Bellamy de Sivla were on the front, turning in, and they kicked. And while Blastacombe picked up the rest of the field, he couldn't get to them. He's gone up £2 for that, but again, he's another strong traveller. I can see him being involved. He's about, I think, 8 or 9 to 1. He's a decent each way chance. And in the bumper, Tom Nugent has the horse Black Bow that won at Christmas. They bred that horse. The vibes are pretty strong for it again. Apparently did a bit of work at Goran last week, and it was very impressive. Patrick picks it over their other runner. And Tom said to remind people that the full sister and the half brother are for sale if anyone's interested. They can come about 5 o'clock on Saturday. They could be far more expensive than what you can get them for now.
Great, the Postcast has now got a classified section for Frank Hickey's workmates. So Frank's committed the cardinal sin of not saying the racing time. So it's Blast of Cumin in the 2:55. It's Midnight Stroll in the 4:05. And our old mate Tom Nugent's horse Black Bow in the bumper, which takes place at 4:40. Kills, anything else from you at Leopardstown?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very almost singing from the same hymn sheet as Frank. I was looking at Blast of Cobra, but I cannot understand why Bellamy de Sivla is almost twice the price. He's finished a good, 4 lengths ahead of him. And although he may have had a bit of a run of the race, he actually pecked at the last, and he lost a bit of ground and momentum. And it looked like the winner was going to go away from him, but he nearly caught him in the end. And I just think Bellamy de Sivla is a stupid price in relation to Blastacombe. I think there was sort of 1 7, 1's 12s, and it just shouldn't be that sort of difference. Okay. However, that's the 2:55. In the 4:05, I am definitely with Frank on Midnight Stroll. I've watched that race about 4 times this morning, and he does. He just tanks through it, and he just wants to go much faster than they were going, and the drop back to 2 miles was shooting down to the ground. We have, this race always features a short price favourite, and the Charles Burns Off You Go has got even shorter this morning than he was just a couple of hours ago. I can't see that myself. Won a Mickey Mouse handicap off a mark of 107, and has got up £16 for it. And he was also ridden by a £5 favourite, and he was also getting £4 weight for age that he doesn't get in this race because he's now a 5-year-old. I think virtually every hot favourite in the last 10 years has been turned over in this, and this one, he did look really, really good at Limerick, but it was a Mickey Mouse race and he's got far too much to do.
OK, let's round up the British TV action next.